afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As always, please allow me to welcome you just one more time to a stories written by a current prisoner live from a California state prison, Folsom, the notorious Folsom to be exact. May I ask, who do we have on the line? What did they call you, sir?
My name is Xavier Magallanes.
Xavier, man, by chance do you have an alias, a nickname, and moniker that you used to go by, sir?
Before they used to call me Biggie.
What are you incarcerated for, and how long is your sentence?
I'm incarcerated for 2 attempted murders, and I got a sentence of double life plus 40 years.
Where are you from out here on the street, Xavier?
From Lynwood, California.
And do you or did you belong to any type of gangs, groups, organizations at any point in time in your life, sir?
Oh, yeah, I was involved with a gang in Lynwood, California. It's called El Segundo. That's the gang that I was associating with out there.
You know, Xavier, first and foremost, before anything, I want to go ahead and say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to share your story. This is an open platform, sir. You know, nothing is going to be edited out besides cuss words. Cuss words will be edited out. But besides that, my man, please feel free to be able to say whatever you want. Feel free to speak about whatever you want. Give anybody a shout out. Any topic is open. This is your video, sir. So I just want you to know that, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, Xavier. So, would you be able to walk us down, man, and tell us a little about your upbringing, bro? What was it like? What was it like growing up in Lynwood? And when did you notice things started to go a little left?
So, excuse me. So growing up, I lived in an environment where my parents were divorced by the time I was 8 years old. So I was dealing with that as a kid. And growing up, my father was always gone. So the only person that I had to look up to, that he was like there, but he wasn't there. And then I had an older brother. He's about 7 years older than me, but he recently passed away. And growing up, I used to see him in and out of juvenile hall. And he used to always be at the house with his friends, and I used to see them hanging out so he basically became my role model growing up, you know, and living in Lynwood, like, you know, there's a lot of gangs over there. You know, you really never used to see people coming out at night because there used to be shootings all the time. And, you know, I've seen all kind of crazy stuff going on over there, man. Yeah.
Did you first get associated with any type of tagging crews? I know a lot of people, they start off by joining like a tagging crew or then like a party crew, and then eventually they end up joining, you know, one of these neighborhood barrios. What was it like for you?
No, so for me, I started like I was tagging in high school. I used to go to Paramount High. And I was tagging, you know, while I was there, but I wasn't really like, you know, tagging crew, but I was like wanting to hang out with my brother and his friends, but I was always in school. So, you know, I used to do what I would do in high school and like I would just tag sometimes my name on the wall. And then it wasn't until like right before I graduated high school in 2005, where I really started hanging out with my brother more and his friends, and I started hanging out with his neighborhood, and everybody knew me as a little baby already, as a kid growing up. So it's like I was comfortable with everybody in that gang already.
Was it also one of those things? You being associated with your brother, you're almost you might as well be a gang member. You're guilty just being associated, just him being his brother. They're gonna think that you're a gangster yourself.
Yeah, so me hanging out with my brother and everybody knowing me already, they were like, you know, you're already from the neighborhood. You know, they already accepted me like if I was already from the neighborhood because they've known me since I was in diapers. And so after high school, like towards the end of my high school, after I graduated, that's when I started hanging out with everybody more. I started going hanging out and hanging out with my brother more and being out in the streets. Yeah. I mean, well, I kind of had like a vague awareness growing up, like seeing my brother always in and out of jail, but I never really thought that I would be the one in jail. You know what I mean? Like getting locked up. This is my first time ever in prison, and I got a life sentence. And I came in at 21 years old. So right now I have a youth offender parole coming up in 2028. So I'm right now I'm getting ready for all that.
You know, would you be able to take us there, man? Maybe a few months, maybe 2 months before this crime. What is going on in your life, man? And would you be able to break it down, man? Those last few weeks, what was it? What was it that happened?
Oh, before
Yeah, yeah. 2 months before the crime, what was
before
it
I
that
got locked
happened?
up. So so like so like 2 months before this crime happened, I was first I was involved with drugs. I was getting high on crystal, and then I was smoking pea dogs and drinking and smoking weed and hanging out. But I was also going to community college and working at the community college in Cerritos. So, I was trying to go to school, but I was over here hanging out with the fellas, so I was playing the fence. And like in here, like playing the fence, you're gonna end up like it's gonna be bad. You can't play the fence because you're not gonna end up getting anything accomplished. So I was getting high on drugs. I was out there in the streets, gang banging and doing what I used to do. And you know, towards the end, I had stopped going to college and I had lost my job because of the drugs. I was just getting high, like I didn't really care anymore. I was just hanging out in the streets and at nighttime. I had a car, so I used to always be everywhere. And then right before this happened, I caught my case. I was just out there like every day in the streets, trying to make a name for myself and trying to not be the little brother. I was trying to be my own person. So yeah, that's what happened right before I got locked up.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Would you be able to take me there to that unfortunate day that your whole world turned upside down? And basically, man, enlighten us and let us know, man, what was it that happened? You woke up that day. What did you do? Where did you go? How did that day play out, sir?
That day, so that day I wasn't working or going to school. So that day I was at home, and then I ended up going to go pick up. I ended up going to hang out with my friends, and then I was supposed to meet up like later on that night. I was supposed to meet up with somebody, with a girl that I had met, and that didn't happen because I seen some guys at the Taco Bell, and we got into an argument, and then I started chasing them out of the driveway, the parking lot. So then after that, I didn't get to hang out with that girl because the guys messed up my whole night. So then I went to my friend's house. I was already getting high and drinking, and I was just like, I'm gonna go for a ride, and I was gonna go get something to eat. And then when I went to go get something to eat, that's when I got my life crime happened, and I bumped into these guys, and I thought they were from somewhere, and I ended up shooting at their car. I shot at their car like 5 or 6 times, uh, and I'm lucky today that they didn't get hit by my careless actions. Could have been a lot worse. They could have died. So I'm grateful that nothing happened to them during this incident.
Where did you
You
think?
have 60 seconds remaining.
Can you call me back, sir?
Yeah, I'll call back.
Where did you think these people were from? And did you hit them up? Did you ask them where they were from, or did you just randomly attack these people?
No, I thought they were from a rival gang, so I pulled up next to them, and I asked them where they were from, and they kept saying that they weren't from nowhere, and they weren't from nowhere. But I didn't believe them. So that's when I pulled out on them, and when I pulled out on them, they stepped on the gas and they left. They started driving a few feet away, and after they drove a few feet away, that's when I just started shooting at their car. So they ended up not being from nowhere. So I was mistaken.
What caught your eye? What caught your eye to these individuals? Were these people, one of those people that look a certain way, they dress a certain way, they're like kind of halfway gangbanging it, but not really a gangbanger?
The night this happened, I used to have a old school car. You know what I mean? I had Dayton's on it, T-tops. It was a 1981 Oldsmobile with T-tops and 20-inch Dayton's on there. So I was driving around in that, and then the guys that I got into this altercation with, they were driving around in the same type of car. Those cars were labeled like gangster cars before. They had little 13-inch Dayton's on it, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. So I was like, who are these guys driving around looking gang related? That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, the reason why I ask you, man, is because, man, I wouldn't want to find myself in that unfortunate circumstance. I've always said it before, man. You got to be careful the way you dress out here in California. I don't know how it is in other states, man, but just wearing the wrong ball cap or the wrong shirt with the baseball logo on it.
So that in LA that you wearing the hat logos like that tells a lot, like in the gang culture, like in LA.
Oh.
So I was just thinking, like, who are these guys driving around at like 11 something at night looking gang related in this car, like, so that's why I ended up doing what I did.
So you shoot at these individuals. Where did you go? How did you get caught?
So I got caught because 3 days after the incident, I got arrested in the same little area where the shooting occurred. I didn't get arrested. I mean, I got pulled over. They took pictures of me in my car. And then after that, about 3 months later, I had stopped hanging out around there. And 3 months later, I was at my mom's house and I got these weird phone calls from my grandma. And so I got up and I was going to go to her house. And then that's when I go to my garage and pull my car out. And as soon as I go close the garage door, that's when I had noticed a car parked there. I didn't know who was in it. And that's when the detective ran up on me and he arrested me.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah. So at 3 months after the situation, that's when I got arrested.
Throughout those 3 months, did you think that you had hit them? Were you looking at the news? Were you looking at the newspaper? Were you trying to see if there was some type of homicide? Or you just didn't care?
No. I think I just went about my day like any other day. Like I didn't know if I did or I didn't, and so I was just living my life.
I must ask, for you to do something so severe and just attack someone, randomly like that, there must be some type of anger. Where does this anger come from? Where does this hate towards these rival gangs come from? What did they do to you?
So growing up, I always had self-esteem issues, and and I have a role model. So growing up, that's why I got into doing drugs, because I was overweight as a kid, so I was doing drugs to lose weight. and then I started hanging out with gangs because I wanted to be accepted. I seen a lot of girls back in the early 2000s, like, they gravitated towards gang member guys, like they liked them. So I was trying to become a gang member so I could get accepted from my peers, plus like, talk to girls. And so I think I think like me doing what I did was just trying to fit in. I was trying to fit in and be cool.
Would you be able to tell me the different neighborhoods that are right there in that area? The ones that you get along with and the ones that you don't get along with right there in that area?
Oh, I mean, I never got along with none of them out there, but they got all kind of gangs in Lynwood. They got the Rude Boys, the Dukes, Paragons, Dos Segundos, Compitas. There's a few of them.
And these gangs that are in Lynwood, do you guys get along with them or do you guys not get along with them? I mean, you guys are from the same city.
Yeah, from the same city, but it's different gangs, rival gangs, and I didn't get along with none of them when I was out there.
Is there one in particular that you really had some type of resentment towards?
Nah, not really. It's just all the same with everybody.
So you hit county, and what are they telling you, man?
Also, when I get to the Lynwood station, they were asking me like, what was the drugs at? I don't know why. But then after they put me in the interview room, and then they started asking me about a shooting. So then I hit the county, and it's my first time in the county. Like, actually, that was my second time being in the LA County. The first time was like overnight because I owed tickets. So I turned myself in because I didn't have no money to pay. I owed like over $1,000 in tickets. So the judge gave me an ultimatum: either pay it today or go to jail. So I took the jail time. And then when I caught my case, this was my first time, like, I was in the county for like 9 months. And it was rough. And then I caught my life sentence after that, and that was really rough. Yeah.
Did you end up taking it to trial? Or did you end up pleading out? And once they sentenced you, what was that day like? Did you cry, honestly?
So I ended up taking it to trial, and during this whole time, they had also locked up my older brother and my mother at the same time. So we were all three going to court. They had locked them up for witness intimidation, but my mom didn't have nothing to do with it. But they locked her up anyway. And so they told my brother, "You take this deal, and we'll let your mom go." And I'm sitting with him in the holding tanks. This is before when he was alive, and I'm sitting with him. And I told him, "Look, man, just take this deal, and that way our mom can go home because she don't have nothing to do with this." And so I ended up taking it to trial. And the day when I came down from trial, the bailiff, I had started talking to him like we were somewhere like okay, like he used to see me every day, so I would talk to him a little bit. And he's like, "Hey, man, you need some time to yourself." And I told him, "Yeah." So he put me in the holding tank by myself. And well, I'm sitting there, and I started crying, and I started punching the wall. I was feeling all kind of different feelings. I was angry, frustrated.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
They told me I lost trial and I was facing a life sentence. And then, so yeah, man, I was crying. I was punching the wall for a few minutes, just crying and just like thinking like, what the hell am I gonna do?
Where does this witness intimidation come into play? How did it come into play?
So that happened because my mom, I had a paid attorney, and I fired him, and my mom got my file from that attorney and gave it to my brother to go take to another attorney that I was trying to hire. So then they pulled my brother over because he had already he had already intimidated the witnesses, but they pulled him over, and then they said he had the addresses of people from the case, and that ended up not being true. But that's why they had to arrest my mom too. So that's how witness intimidation happened, you know, because my brother, but what he had did was he went to go knock on the people's door and tell them not to show up to court.
So that day, man, you get sentenced. How long did they sentence you to, man?
So they sentenced me to 2 premeditated attempted murders. I got a life sentence for each victim. It was 2 victims. And on top of that, they gave me 2 20-year enhancements for using a gun in the commission of the crime. And then hold on. He's at work. All right. That's it. And then they gave me an extra 25 years. They gave me an extra 25 years, but that got suspended because of the life sentences. So at that time, I was 21 years old.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear this, man? That's California gangbanging right there for you, right there. For those of you that are gangbanging, you know, shooting at people, did you hear that? Just in enhancements alone, it's 20-something years. Take that into consideration next time you want to go pull up on someone. 20 years just on enhancements alone. You didn't even hit the guy, right?
Yeah, I luckily I didn't hit the 2 guys that you know in this case. But yeah, that's what they gave me, 2 life sentences plus 40 years. That's what I was sentenced to. For discharging an occupied vehicle.
What has been the hardest thing for you about serving this life sentence, sir?
The hardest thing for me about serving this life sentence is being man, it feels like sometimes, you know, I've lost connection with a lot of people in here. Family that I haven't talked to in so long, family that I've lost recently. Like, you know, I've been going through some things. My mother, she was something happened with her and she became paralyzed, but she's getting better now. But during this time also, I had a brother, and this is what's really been hitting me the most is, you know, he used to do drugs, and he developed drug-induced schizophrenia.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And he recently passed away off an overdose of fentanyl. So that, you know, losing him, you know, I lost like a part of myself. He was my brother, but he's also my friend. You want me to call back? Oh yeah, so yeah, he recently passed away. So that's kind of one of the things that I've been struggling with lately. You know, losing him and not being able to be there for my family, and you know, being away from everybody. Man, seeing people go home, come back and go home, come back and go home. Like, I've seen people come and go like 3-4 times, and it's like, man, some of these people, they don't get it. I'll be trying to tell them, like, man, like, stay out. Don't come back to prison. But some people just, they don't get it.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate to hear about the fentanyl, man. You know, that's been taking so many lives lately. It's ridiculous. For those of you out there, man, don't do it. Don't even experiment with drugs nowadays, man.
Yeah, don't do it,
you're literally
man.
gambling with your life.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
What was the first prison you arrived to?
The first prison?
Yeah, where's the first prison you landed at?
I landed in level 4 High Desert State Prison.
The notorious High Desert State Prison. I don't know what the heck is going on in that prison, but there's been murders back
I landed
to back.
there. Is that right? Yeah, it's all kind of shit always going on over there. I landed there. First time in the main line, I do a 17-month lockdown. First time. 17-month lockdown because there was racial shit going on. And then 3 months later, we started programming. And during those 3 months, I was in the county jail for like a month on appeal. And then I come back. First day I go to yard, the counselor's like, "Go ahead, you don't got to go to committee. Sign this paper, you can go to yard. You just came from court." First day I go to yard, we get into a riot with the cops. Then from there, I go catch a 14-month shoe for that riot.
What was the riot over?
The riot had nothing to do with us at first. It was the cops responding to two people fighting on the yard, and then one of the homies was drunk, and he didn't want to prone out on the floor, and so the cop told him to get up, and the cop must have said something stupid to him, or I don't know what, but he turned around and started swinging on the cop, and after that, it's just all hell broke loose. You know? Yeah, that was a crazy day.
So, wow. So your first experience is you get there to this prison and you find out that it's on lockdown due to these riots, and then and then the first time you actually get there, a riot cracks out.
And then I come back from court and I get into a riot.
How does that make you feel mentally, emotionally? Does that somewhat terrify you? Or at that point in time, you just don't even care no more?
At that point, I came to prison. I got to to that prison. I was still immature. I was still I had a criminal mindset still. I was still like, wanted to be accepted by, my peers. And so I just, I went with the flow. I didn't, I was figured that's just part of prison. Like, at that time, I had a license. My board date wasn't until like 2058. And back then people that had life weren't getting out. There was really none of this social justice stuff going on now. None of that was going on in 2010.
It's been 15 years that you've been incarcerated, correct?
Yeah, going on 15 this year.
What would you say?
No, August.
What would you say to somebody out there who's living an active lifestyle, who's gangbanging, who's on
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
What would you say to someone out there who's actively participating in this, gangbanging lifestyle, who's running the streets, who's carrying a gun, who's on a hot one, who's literally just hitting people up, who's on a rampage, jacking dudes, those dudes who are just on the path of destruction? What would you tell an individual like that?
I would tell them, like, man, it ain't worth it, man. It's played out. Like, all that gangbang shit is played out. Like, losing your life, coming to prison, like, on a life sentence. Like, I have this thing where I notice in people who come in and out of prison, people who come to prison on a life sentence compared to somebody who comes in with a release date, their mindset is totally different. Like, in here, I'm on a general population yard, and there's a lot of lifers here who I know back in the day, did whatever they did, but now it's like, we're all trying to go home, and so that's what we're focused on, trying to get out of here and go home now that there's hope. And then you see all these guys who come in with a release date, and they're just doing the same shit they were doing in the streets, stupid shit, I would just say, like, man, you know what? Coming to prison is not even worth it anymore, man. It is like, it sucks having to wake up every day. It's like the Twilight Zone. You get up, do the same program every day. You go out, you go do work, and come back and restart the day. It's like the Twilight Zone.
Do these people even have a clue about the emotional, the psychological pain that one endures serving out life sentences like this?
They don't. I don't think they do. They don't under. They're not gonna experience that unless they actually go through it. And everybody goes through the emotions. In prison, and it's just up to that person if you're gonna really do the work to try to better yourself. It's like they say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. Like in here, they got opportunities for you to help yourself, and it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. So me, like I've been clean the last almost 6 years. Um, I'm getting ready to go to my parole board already. I'm working on a college degree. Halfway through to get my AA degree in social and behavioral science, and I've been participating in these groups that they have here, trying to better myself, trying to understand why the insight and why I did what I did, and why I felt like it was okay to do that at that time. My mindset now is totally different than what I was when I came in. I'm not the same person I was when I came in. Now it's like I'm trying to be responsible, have integrity. I'm remorseful for what I did. I'm very remorseful for what I did, and I know given the opportunity when I go to board and once I get a release date, I'm not I'm not gonna I'm not gonna jeopardize my freedom again. I took all the small things in life for granted, and that's something that I'm not gonna lose. My parents are getting older. My brother just passed away. My grandpa just passed away. My aunt just passed away. I'm trying to be out there and be with my family. And, I'm doing everything I can right now to get out of prison. It's a uphill battle, but, I'm doing it every day. I'm trying to get it done.
What do you want to do, man? Let's just say you do get that fortunate fortunate chance of a second chance at life again. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself doing, sir?
So the whole reason with this degree that I'm pursuing in social and behavioral science, I'm trying to maybe get into a career of like social work, possibly, and become like social work for kids and try to help them avoid this whole that I went through. I think maybe if they see somebody that went through all this shit and is out there and like they're gonna be like damn, he I don't know. I feel like I could make more of an impact that way. Try to help kids and like drug counseling and stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. And an individual such as yourself who has lived, who's actually lived that lifestyle, who's actually been there, done that, served a life sentence. I think these kids can actually relate to someone like you a little bit more rather than just your average counselor out there. Simply due to the fact that you've actually lived this
Yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah.
Xavier, I wish you a lot of luck, bro. You seem to be a good-hearted individual. I can most definitely tell that you have changed, man. You had definitely have spoken a lot of positive words of wisdom, and I wish you a lot of luck and success, man. I do hope that you do get that second chance one day. But with that being said, sir, do you have any last messages for anybody out there?
Uh, for anybody out there, no, I just want to say, thank you for taking the time to talk to me, and I'm just right here representing the community in Folsom State Prison, and thank you for all those people that are advocating for people in prison. That means a lot to us in here. Appreciate that.
Most definitely.